A mother's fight for answers 5 years after her son was struck and killed on Mapleview Drive. Good evening. A memorial along Mapleview Drive East remains for 20-year-old Anthony Conklin, who was killed 5 years ago while skateboarding in the early morning hours. He was hit by a car driven by an off-duty York Regional Police officer. As loved ones continue to honor his memory, his mother wants everyone to know what happened to her son before she was sent to jail for threatening the officer and his family. Here's CTV's Mike Arcelides.
I miss him, and I love him. And I wish he was here with us.
Sherry Bryan has spent the past 5 years mourning her son Anthony's death. 20-year-old Anthony Conklin was hit here along Mapleview Drive, just east of Bayview Drive, while riding his skateboard about 1:30 in the morning, April 9th, 2020.
On his way home from a friend's house when he was struck down by someone not paying attention to the road.
Conklin was hit in the middle of the road by a Mazda 3 driven by an off-duty York Regional Police officer. Was on his way home from work.
If that was me or you or anybody else, would be in handcuffs that night, but this officer, he was allowed to go home before the paramedics even arrived.
The driver said he was traveling about 70 kilometers an hour when he crashed into Conklin. A Barrie police reconstruction report, however, found the officer was likely traveling about double the speed limit that night, at highway speeds somewhere between 104 and 125 kilometers an hour.
The fact he lied to the first officer on scene saying that he was going the speed limit, and then that same detective who was here, he himself said if he was going the speed limit, Anthony might have survived this.
The officer who lived in Barrie at the time was subsequently charged with careless driving causing death in the crash that killed Conklin. The report revealed the man did not provide a full statement to investigating officers who first arrived on scene and was not tested for possible impairment by Barrie police. Then a year later, the Crown withdrew the charge against the man, citing no reasonable prospect of conviction, saying Conklin was wearing all black clothing in an area with a lack of street lights, and a witness who said she barely saw Conklin as she passed by him that night. 3 years later, in April of 2023, Conklin's grief-stricken mother, struggling with her mental health and addiction, found herself spiraling out of control. Sherry Bryan was charged with conspiracy to commit murder, and while that charge was later withdrawn by the Crown, accused of stalking, making threats, and planning to kill the man's child before taking her own life so he could feel what it was like to lose a child, Bryan was convicted of criminal harassment, uttering a threat, and possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose.
Yes, I tried to take justice into my own hands, which I should not have.
Bryan was captured on surveillance cameras carrying a kitchen knife near the man's home that day. She admitted to taking about 60 Xanax pills prior to arrest. Bryan spent about a year behind bars.